unmute, and zoom. So for those who are now watching everywhere but the YouTube, we just got the YouTube stream up and going. We're going to post some links. Thank you for hanging in there with us. Unmute. Uh-oh, I'm on double there. So for those who are now watching everywhere but the YouTube, we just got the YouTube stream up and going. We're going to post some links. Thank you for hanging in there with us. Unmute. Okay, are we back? And hopefully you don't hear double of everything. If not, then I have no idea. That's all muted. Chat. That's going to probably have to go. Are we back? Nope. And hopefully you don't hear double of everything.
Or you do.
All right, I think that solved it right there. So, all right, so now I have to figure out how I post on all the disc jockey news stuff that we are live, and we are going to do this tonight. We're running a little late. Apologize.
Oh, there we are. We're on YouTube.
Yeah, I had to do a whole new one there. I do have the link that I'm going to go share on all the Facebook pages. So for those of you who do have this, please share it with the different ones on the YouTube and Facebook and all these ones that we do. I can find it here. And I'll repost on both of those where it's at. Well, that one's kind of there. And that one's there. And we do have a good topic tonight we're going to do. I'm very, if you don't notice, there's more than one of me here tonight. I'm joined tonight by Jay from Pioneer. If you can, if you want to.
Don't think I have one anywhere nearby.
So that's the link for that. And I'm going to share one more on the other side. And we're going to put the post in there. And then we're going to talk about the whole design when it comes to gear. What all goes into it. Because basically, I don't know what I can see with the chat tonight. I'm going to still try to keep an eye on chat if the chat will even work. Let me know if you are seeing this. It says we are broadcasting to 7 out of 7 different places. So that's good. The new link is there. So if you have that, please go and check that out.
Let me tell the Facebook crew.
See, yeah, everything. The only place that we changed the direct, like everything else, we were on.
Right.
Randy says hi. Scrappa says hi to Robin. So I guess everybody is picking it up. Yeah, I got that. All right, awesome. So we're still going to let a few people come in. Like I said, we are running late. Apologize. We had one, because we broadcast to, I think it's like 6 or 8 different places, and the one, the main one that everybody goes to on YouTube and hangs out, just clicked off on us, and I had to redo a whole thing on that. Very strange, but definitely pass around the information where we're at if you can. Obviously, this can be watched on demand. But tonight started out, I probably would say a month ago, Jay and I were hanging out in the DJNTV chill room chat, okay? And it was prior to or just around the time they were releasing the 3000.
Yep.
And I asked about products coming out, and he was talking about the fact that they do have stuff because, you know, that the budget year, what was budgeted, that they have to release stuff during the budgeted year, and those stuff was coming, and was talking about what was going into the new stuff and stuff that was tested with people or shown to people ahead of time. And that made me start to think about some of my experiences over the years, because I've been DJing a long, long time, and I've gotten to speak both locally and nationally in DJ worlds, whether it be expos or disc jockey associations in West Coast, East Coast, and the middle of America. And one of the things I found that all DJs, for some reason, this is kind of a blanket statement, they all think everyone is just like them. They think everyone DJs like them, the same music, the same style, the same equipment. But if I go to a wedding guy and talk about the phase system, they're probably going to go, a phase system? Yeah, I had that replaced on my car last time I got it inspected. Or if I go to a club guy and talk about Megaseg, they're going to go, what is that? And I tell them what it is, and they're going to go, why would you use that? But the fact is there's so many different types of DJs, and Pioneer, I think of all the brands, far and above, hits as many of those markets as they can. But obviously everything can't work for everyone. So we're going to talk tonight about what goes into the process of them making different types of equipment, who they're aiming for, what they can and can't put in, what affects the price of the equipment, that sort of thing. Because there's a lot of variables that go in. If I'm correct, a lot of the stuff that you guys released, the design starts, 4 years ahead?
I mean, it starts when people come to us with ideas.
Okay.
It starts when we have ideas. And, when you have DJs that are meeting with engineers and giving their thoughts on gear and looking forward, I think that's probably the most difficult part of it, is to look forward. Perfect example would be the DJM 5000 mixer. Came out in 2009. Did everything, had a matrix. You could adjust the zone speaker. You could have a zone phone went to that speaker. So let's say, scenario, I'm doing a surprise birthday party and the girl is out in the lobby. I'm playing music on deck 4, but in the room, I'm making full dance floor, packed, everything's going great. But the coordinator's like, we're doing the cake in 5 minutes. So instead of killing the mood, I matrixed microphone to the zone, which was outside, and said, folks, in 5 minutes, I'm going to ask that you come inside for the cake cutting. Had 4 channels, had 3 microphones, excuse me again, had advanced and normal talkover on the mics, as well as echo, reverb, I think pitch. Oh man, echo, reverb, pitch, and maybe like a phase or something on the vocal mics. So the mics had 4 effects. It was a rack mount. And in 2009, rack mounts were falling away so fast and everything was going to a case, like, a coffin
type thing. Yeah.
And you couldn't convince anybody to get a rack mount 19-inch mixer in a case. It was too big. They had smaller cars. I mean, there was a million reasons, but it was a great example of a perfect piece of gear. I mean, and there's probably like 5 or 6 DJs I know that still use it and love it. I have one. Every once in a while I take it out and I just look at it. Like, I used it with the MEP 7000, I think for almost 3 years. No complaints, didn't have effects. It didn't bother me. Like, everything about it was absolutely bulletproof. 3 mics, 3 band EQ on everything. I mean, it was flawless.
Okay.
And it came at a time when it was falling apart. That's probably the most difficult thing, I think, in any industry, is to foresee the future and tell, like, what are people going to be doing? I think people have realized by now, talking to me and other people, wouldn't it be cool if it could do that? That's a mental note that as you walk away, I'm on my phone typing.
Right.
Like,
right.
Somebody just had a great idea. Now, you can look at it as we're the conduit or the catalyst for the ideas, but I genuinely take everything in and then just go to his wedding. So for me personally, I look at things as, how will this enhance the experience of a wedding? When they first came to me with the XTJ RX, which was a 2-channel, 2-control surface, standalone unit. It came out at a time when a lot of DJs,
okay, and
when it came out, I had a lot of DJs come up to me and say, this is perfect. This is exactly what I want. I'm like, really? Yeah, I'm sick of the this was the quote I got from like 5 DJs at NAMM. I'm sick of the Craigslist DJs who have a stolen hard drive, a laptop, and a cheap controller. And I need to show my clients and everyone else I'm a real DJ. Because without a laptop, this forced you to go back.
Right.
So I got it. And within about 2 hours of having it, I realized it had 2 USB ports, one solely for playback, but one for playback and record. Oh, so if I use this at a wedding, I can record the master during the ceremony, which means I'll get the music and the microphone in a WAV file. Then after the ceremony, I could give it to the families. And if they wanted, oh, wait a second, I could play the vows from the bride and the groom back during their first dance. So their song's playing on deck 1. deck 2, I can physically play their vows. That was a game changer in respects to adding emotion, adding a memory, because that's really what we do. I mean, we play music, but we create memories.
Right.
And that was a memory that just became, Monday morning, you see 2 people at work and it's like, what'd you do this weekend? Oh, I went to a wedding. How was it? It was good. It was a nice venue. We had a good time. Yeah, everything was cool. What'd you do? Oh my God, I went to a wedding. Higher.
Right.
Regardless of how good they are.
Right.
The one that made the memory, because that's the memory that the random person showed up with. So then I realized, well, if I can record that, why don't I use this to do corporate events? And when this, sir, I'm your DJ. By the way, this is your speech. It is? Yeah, it's recorded as a WAV file, fully digital. I don't know if you want to do some sort of photo montage at the end of the year or if you have plans or whatever, but I just wanted you to be able to have everything you did is now been saved. So it is, like you said, not every DJ is the same. Not everyone needs the same thing. You come up with something like the CDJ 3000. I said in the chill room one night, as politely as I could, because the chill room is filled with incredibly professional. It's not for any of you.
Right. Right.
Like, don't get upset about it. Don't think it doesn't do something. I'm just telling you, none of you need it, want it, or should buy it.
Right.
And they kind of were a little taken aback, but I think they also realized it's not made for them.
Right.
It's not made for me.
Right.
I mean, you can see it behind me. Like, it's right there.
Right. Right.
I've used it. It's amazing. And it's got some things that, yes, I would like to do that. Like, those are things that we can use. But it's really for the guy doing 20,000 people. It's a lineage. It's a legacy from, the early 2000s with the CDJ 1000, then the 2, now the 3. Who's using CDs now?
Right, right.
There's some mobiles I know, but as far as somebody in an arena or in a festival,
right,
they've been on SD cards going back as long as I can remember. They don't even go to flash drives.
Yeah.
I mean, I won't name names, but I've worked with like some headliners who their stage manager, tour managers have come in with like 6 flash drives or SD cards and tested them in a player. And I'm like, you guys use that? They're like, oh yeah. The sound quality, everything, it's so much easier.
Data transfer speed.
Drop one in each deck.
Yeah.
So if deck 1s went out, we got 2, 3, 4.
Right.
And that's something that came up a few years ago with the 4 deck routine, was like everyone wanted to make sure they were covered. I should also say some of the headliners are some of the nicest people you could ever way.
Right.
It's an ongoing conversation. When I go in the chill room, when I hear a Scrappa talk about something in Australia as a DJ, or a Howie talk about something where lighting's involved, part of my brain goes, man, it'd be kind of cool if maybe we was here.
Right.
And that's really, at the end of the day, what the gear is for.
Right.
We just launched, you and I were talking for a moment about the DJM S11, which, very small, quick plug, tomorrow at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, I will actually have my happy hour show that, people have kind of looked at it and said, oh, this looks like somebody else's. Well, go back 16 years when we had the DJM 909 and the 707. And I mean, you're smiling because I think for someone like you that's been around long enough, we're just taking part of the past and realizing this worked great. This is what people wanted then. Do they want it now?
Right.
And we're finding out that, yeah, they do. But it's a constant conversation.
First off, for those who are watching, thank you for sticking in there. We were having some trouble, and we do know that it is buffering a little bit. Nothing I can do about that. We're just going to go on with the show. If I have to have Jay back another night, we will. I venture into some of these double shows sometimes by myself, and it kind of sticks me because there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that I'm almost 100% of the time work by myself. So it's weird, to do all these extra things because I have extra programs running, and I think that's what some of the problem is, that I'm not used to having these extra programs running. It would be boring. Nobody would be tuned in. But yeah, it is buffering heavily. It is buffering heavily tonight. I was having a discussion with a guy who had a discussion with you a couple years ago about why don't they make controllers with the center part the mixer part of a controller identical to like the S9 type thing. And you told him there just isn't a big enough market that would want all the things moved to the center and platters only on the outside. And that's a good example right there, that even though I know so many people that they're out on the weekends with either turntables, Rain 12s, phase system, something, that is the pretty much the only thing they DJ with, but they want a controller to be like that. But would they switch to a controller if it was like that? Because a lot of those guys have this mentality that I'm not professional unless I use turntables. You know, if
times, September 5th. And I remember the date because it was a great time. But I also remember the date because it was 116 degrees during the ceremony. So I brought that at about 110, the laptops were useless. And they were true to form. I had 2 laptops, solid state drives, and they both just went. So fortunately, I had, from probably when it cooled off at around 8, laptops fired up, no problems, end of the event. Like, no one knew but me. And, you know, you look at it and say, well, if I had turntables, what would I have done? Because I don't know everything about turntables. I'm the first to admit it. But I'm pretty sure at 106
groove. There's
exactly.
No doubt it would have widened that groove.
Yeah, so that's of no use to me.
Yeah.
And the difference, it comes down to one factor. And people will say, like, well, you know, with the XDJ-XE, really, you have something that works almost the same as a CDJ 900 setup. And that's 100% true. But the main difference when you get into the bigger shows and why there's always bigger gear is that it's not modular.
Right.
And if you're at an EDC, place it, no, the whole unit comes out.
Right.
Now, that said, as a mobile DJ, I used my first controller in 2011. I physically did the launch on November 12th, 2012 of the SX. I used the SX until 2 years ago. I went to the SZ, and now I'm on either the DDJ 1000 mobile DJ. I think it's the smartest purchase you can make today.
Right.
Would a S9 mixer with 2 outside decks work? I said at the time it probably would not. Now, I'll be the first to admit, yeah, you could probably pull that off.
Right.
You could probably emulate what they're doing with a 3-piece setup in a full controller.
Right.
I said earlier, but let me just be upfront about things. I'm a contractor with Pioneer DJ. I'm not with, you know, they've looked to me for 16 years to help out with ideas, to give feedback on the market. You know, I've been blessed and grateful that I get to, you know, meet all these. Might be viewed as like, well, no, that's not a good idea, because I'm not thinking in mass manufacturing. But I will say this, everyone's always listened, whether they've acted upon it. The ideas that I get at shows, and that's what's so of the year.
Yeah.
You and I were together at a Photo Booth Expo and the Disc Jockey News Chill.
Yeah.
But that's where all the really good information is, because DJs are really honest. And yeah, some of them ask for stuff that 100% they tell you. You know, something like a 3-band EQ on the mics. And I fully agree.
Right.
Brian Redd has been screaming that for decades.
Yeah.
And he's right. He's 100% right.
Yeah. It's funny, like you said about the 2 being different like that. Let's talk about the mics real quick here. Me as a club and bar DJ, I pick up the mic once a night usually. There's a lot of places I DJ at that literally say, we do not want you to talk. There's been 2 or 3 places I've DJed at where they won't even allow a mic not even allowed to plug a mic in. So that's why I talk about the equipment being different, to where something is essential for someone else, for this person, it's not needed. You know, I look at 8 hot cue pads as being just absolutely necessary, and somebody else would be like, I don't even touch them. You know, something like that.
Well, but you know what? It's funny, and this is where I desperately want to see more of this kind of joining. Someone like you that understands why you need 8 of them. that conversation with the DJ that goes, I don't even know what a hot cue is.
Right.
Well, not only can you find out where to start the song or where the peak of the song is, but oftentimes a lot of us will set a hot cue for where we need to mix out.
Yeah.
Or where we need to hit the loop button, run a 4-bar loop and have no, 4-beat loop and have no issue.
Yeah.
It's going to work. I can like buy myself some time or whatever. Or if I want to do some, wordplay, here's 3 perfect spots where I can put a loop in and change the color so I know this is a wordplay because it's blue. So the 3 blue are this, so I can in my headphones go, okay, perfect. That's what that is.
The whole Serato flip thing is based on that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then I think the artistry has gotten much better. When I started in the 90s, we had to figure it out. It was a 2000 Mark III.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a stand-up rolling podium. So at the top where the rack was, that's where the CD drives would go. And then down here at an angle would go the mixer and the control. Well, I found a thing in Mobile Beat magazine in New Jersey, and it was an anti-shock system because I was the head of entertainment on a boat company. Once it was installed, when you got to the gig, you undid 2 thumb screws and you pulled the CD drives out a little, and then they fell and they were cradled for the whole night on these 2 bungees. And you know what? They never skipped.
Yeah.
Because the buffering, I remember, I don't think people realize, I saw club installs where there was concrete and sand stacked under the turntables. Otherwise, the bass would just bounce everything.
There was a company, if you remember,
sandbags.
Do you remember the company that made the little X inflatable things to put the turntables on?
Yes, yes. This was in that same realm. I paid like $30, ordered it. I may have ordered it directly from the magazine, called the guy, had him mail it out, and I put it on the boat, and it events a year.
Right.
On these boats. We had 8 boats and a building.